That's what I do. That's how I play.
His wife.
You went to prom together, but Sally, on your first date, he took you to a political dinner. He took you to the Lincoln Day dinner. Swept you off your feet.
Right.
What kind of first date is that?
It's crazy. I think he tricked me. I think he tricked me, and I ended up at the political event, which I didn't know about at first because he told me we were going to the movies. But, you know, we made it. It was pretty boring. It was pretty bad, but we did go to the movie afterward, and we had a great time.
And he says you can't say you didn't know what you were getting into.
Right. I did.
That said, neither one ever thought their lives would be.
Joining us now, former RNC chair, and I guess now former chief of staff, Reince Priebus. How are you doing at this moment? How are you feeling? Is this, you feel good about this, bad about this? Has this been building? Where are you with this?
Well, I mean, obviously it's always mixed feelings, but generally good. Number one, it was an honor and a privilege to serve President Trump. I think he's doing an amazing job. I think he needs to get more credit for the great work he's doing. And I don't know, obviously, why he hasn't gotten more recognition around the country for the bills, the executive orders, and it's this constant obsession over distractions. And so, look, he's doing a great job, but I'm feeling good about the fact that he's making a change that makes him comfortable with moving forward. We had a good talk yesterday. I resigned, he accepted it, and then we started working together and talking quite a few times about who would be a great pick to come in here and be the chief of staff. And I can't think of anyone better than a four-star General John Kelly, who's a good, decent, tough guy who's exactly the type of person the president needs. So I'm happy for him. I think actually going a different direction, hitting a reset button is a good thing. And the president did that. And so I think he's happy. I got to tell you, although it's always a little mixed when things like this happen, I generally feel pretty good. I think what everyone needs to do is just focus on the president, to focus on the things that he wants to get done for the American people. You know what's in his heart. I know his heart. He's a genuine, decent, incredibly hardworking president that deserves the credit that he has coming for the incredible accomplishments that he's taken part of. And so those other things, some of that stuff this week, I just think it's an annoying distraction that it's not right for people to talk about, especially employees of the West Wing. Why? Well, first of all, I would say, and we'll always continue to talk, Sean, you're a great friend. We appreciate you very much. Look, another thing is with me is I'm not going to get into that subject. It's getting in the mud. And well, first of all, I would say, and we'll always continue to talk, Sean, you're a great friend. We appreciate you very much. Look, another thing is with me is I'm not going to get into that subject. It's getting in the mud. And I think what everyone needs to do is just focus on the president, to focus on the things that he wants to get done for the American people. You know what's in his heart. I know his heart. He's a genuine, decent, incredibly hardworking president that deserves the credit that he has coming for the incredible accomplishments that he's taken part of. And so those other things, some of that stuff this week, I just think it's an annoying distraction that it's not right for people to talk about, especially employees of the West Wing. Why? I'll always be out there trying to help the president advance his goals, support him as a friend too. And that's the other part of the job that people don't realize. You actually become friends. When you go through thick and thin together, you get to know people really well. And he's a good man. And I was honored to be able to serve him. That I believe, like you, that it's President Trump's agenda that won the election in November. It's the things actually that the president's been talking about for 30 years. So it's not like someone, we just came up with this. He's been talking about this stuff for decades. And that's the agenda that everyone needs to be rowing in the same direction on. I gave the speech that the president gave in Youngstown to the senior staff the other day, and I said, this is the president's agenda. Everyone should read this speech, learn it, and do everything you can to enact these promises that the president talks about and has crowds coming out of the woodwork for, this is where the focus needs to be. Those nominees will go through. What people don't realize is that we have hundreds of nominees either sitting in clearance or in Senate committees right now. And Senate rules are very complicated, and they're mind-numbing. The filibuster rule is another one. But I think that with the focus on the president's agenda, I think with the constant drumbeat, I think what you're doing every day is important. But I'm hoping that some of these folks in the Senate come to their senses and see that they're hurting the country by not just blocking the president, but doing it in a way that it's obnoxious and it injures the United States of America. They're injuring their country, the country that they're elected to serve. I get you want to have a robust debate. Have the debate, but don't do it at the expense of the country. We actually need people appointed at the Department of Defense. We need people appointed at the Department of State. Get them out of committee and put them to work.
It's August.
Like 16, we're working on the calculation, but it's something like 15 or 16 to 1, meaning for every one new regulation, we're kicking out 15 or 16. His executive order called a 2-for-1. Look at what's happening with jobs. Look at the GDP. Look at workforce productivity. He's doing a great job. But
well, that goes to my question. The president's doing everything he can do within his power, but we have separation of powers. We have co-equal branches of government. Republicans asked for the House in 2010. They asked for the Senate in 2014. They wanted the presidency. They've got it all. Now they're saying, well, now we need 60 senators to get health care done. And I can tell you, and I know you hear it, but conservatives look at the lack of urgency and the lack of progress in the House and Senate, and they are ticked off beyond measure, including me.
Yeah, no question about it. But you go back, and I think the proof is what we talked about earlier, which is the president's very popular out across the country. And he's popular because he's not getting blamed for what's happening and not passing this legislation. People aren't waking up today and saying President Trump is the guy to blame for the fact that the Senate didn't pass repeal and replace. No one's saying that. People understand what's going on. We have a legislature that needs to come together quickly while we still can pass a bill through reconciliation with 50 votes and come up with another idea. And the good news for everyone is I do believe that the leadership in the Senate and people that are working with the leadership in the Senate, the Republicans, they are working hard. And I'm hopeful, let's be hopeful that something's going to get done.
And you go anywhere you want to go. The media in this country.
Dishonest.
You're trying to be nice. I can read your eyes.
Well, I'm trying to be nice because, look, here's my problem. There's a lot of words to describe it. What I find to be amazing is how narratives are set, and a lot of it's not true, and facts get placed into stories that then get repeated in a different setting. And if people knew what the actual truth was, whether it be palace intrigue, whether it be Russia collusion, whether it be someone said something in the Oval Office, or whether it be anything, it is the most breathtaking thing for me has been the difference between what the truth is and what often gets reported, and then what actually becomes a full-blown narrative and set in stone, and it's then reported as fact. I don't know how to explain it any better than that, but it's very incredible. I don't think everyone in the media is dishonest, just like, not everyone in politics is dishonest, or lawyers are not,
fair.
Right. I think that there's enough, though, that have such incredible competition on their hands for information and movement and clicks online and profitability that people are shaving the honest nature of where they know in their hearts they need to be to just barely
Can I put it this way?
Yeah.
Is it fair to say that there is a very high level of misinformation, fake news, and dishonesty, and the American public need to be very discerning because a lot of what they read and hear on television is fake?
Yeah. I think it's 100%, what you're saying is 100% true. A lot of it is totally fake. The good news is I think the president's done a great job at pointing that out to everybody so that when we get articles written in all these newspapers, people call me, is this true or is this fake? No, fake. Don't worry about it. I mean, it has become an epidemic, but I also think there's such competition and such a drive for money that it becomes dishonest. And so luckily the president's pretty tough and he punches through it left and right and then fills up the arena and will be reelected in a few years, and it'll blow their minds away, and it'll happen.
Achievement or something you're most proud of, or something you want to let people know?
Well, look, I don't know if it's most proud. There's so many things that I think the president accomplished, and number one, it's not about me or my accomplishments or the president's accomplishments, but I just think, you know, maybe the first day that we came into the West Wing together with the president and walking around, going into the Oval Office, signing that first executive order, and just the magnitude of that responsibility. And even President Trump, who's larger than life and a proud guy and a tough guy, I remember the moment. It sort of just took his breath away when he walked in. I'd also tell you that when he has to make tough decisions, the deliberation that he takes, the issue in regard to the Syrian bombing, the cruise missiles onto the airfield, he deliberated on that and cared so much about making a decision and meeting again and thinking about it and talking to his generals and listening to them. If people knew the amount of care that this job takes in order to make those types of big decisions, they would be very much inspired. And then the president does that.
That a side of him that they'll never see.
I think they're seeing it now because they've done such an incredible job getting out there across the country and had a lot of touching events. I think people need to see more of the human side of President Trump, that is a genuine, decent, caring person that engages people. He's also extremely funny. I know you know that. I mean, he can just crack you up all the time. And he is a good friend. But this is about not friendship. This is about making sure that everything's being run at the direction of the president. And I think, honestly, General Kelly is a good man. We've gotten to know each other very well. We've talked tonight. I'm looking forward to working with him for the next couple of weeks on a good transition and making sure that everyone is focused on accomplishing the president's agenda moving forward.